With the help of the image trace panel, you can convert raster images, such as scanned sketch art that you might have hand-drawn or digital camera images, into editable vector art. However, before you can trace an image and convert it to vector art, you have to first insert it into your document. So let's have a look at how we go about doing that. To insert an image, you use the place command. And we'll insert this line drawing that has been scanned in from a hand-drawn pen sketch and place that into the document. Just move that up a bit and we'll zoom in so that we can have a close-up look. This is a hand-drawn sketch and we can see in the control panel what the file name is, and when you click on that we can relink that to other images, edit the original, which will open this image back up in Photoshop, or update a link if the image has been edited outside of Illustrator in Photoshop, and then we can update the preview and everything. It also displays the image resolution. Now for the fastest tracing, you could bring the resolution down to about 150 pixels per inch, but just experiment a little bit with whatever works best for you. There's also, as soon as you have an image selected, an image trace button available. Now when you click that, you don't actually quite know what's going to happen. So the easiest thing to do is jump to the tracing presets. There's a series of presets that's been pre-installed, and there might be a preset there that you've created yourself even, that you know will work for your selected raster image. In this case, I know this is line art, but I would like to pretend that it's sketched art at this stage. What's happened now is that Illustrator has created a trace and we are viewing the traced result. However, if we want to make any changes to the settings, we have to click and access the image trace panel. This panel is displaying that we've indeed selected the preset. We're currently looking at the tracing result, and if I want to see the scan underneath it, I hold down this button so we can sort of make a comparison, and we'll notice that this image is traced a little bit darker than it needs to be. It's also using a black and white mode, which means no additional colors or gray shades are being added to the trace. If I want to make this tracing result a little bit less dark, I can bring down the threshold slider and Illustrator will immediately update the results. So what we're seeing here is a live trace result, and we haven't yet converted this artwork into vector art or expanded it. I'll just push this back up a little bit darker, because I didn't quite like how it was opening up these areas here. So you can continue to access the image trace settings via the image trace panel and make adaptations to it until you're ready with the result that you see. You can have a quick look at what outlines would be created, and we can actually see that what's happening here are, instead of strokes, some filled paths are created, or you can see the tracing result with the outline over the top of it and so on. But in general, you would look at the tracing result. Once you're happy with this, you can click the expand button to convert this particular artwork into vector shapes. A second technique that we can use to trace an image is to start out by displaying the image trace panel. And then when we select an image, we have access to a bunch of quick presets here at the top of the panel. For instance, auto color will have Illustrator perform its automatic tracing magic, or if you want to trace with a lot of different color values in the trace result, you could pick high color or low color, for instance, to have a low amount of colors. Now, some of these particular quick presets are very similar to the presets that you see down here. Let's assume that in this particular document, I want to trace with 6 colors. Illustrator is automatically going over the original image, and it will pick up what it thinks are the best 6 colors to use in this tracing result. And we can see down here that it's used a so-called limited color palette. And the limited color palette only allows a maximum of 30 colors to be traced. I could increase that. And instead of now tracing with 6 colors, we will have Illustrator include another 6 colors in the tracing result. You even have the ability to define your own colors for the tracing. If you've added some color groups to your document, you can select your color groups from the document library. And if I click this drop down arrow, I have access to any of the color groups available in Illustrator. I'm going to pick this very last color group that I created earlier and use that as a technique for tracing. There are also a number of advanced settings available. For instance, we can increase or decrease how closely paths are going to be fitted to the original rasterized image information that it's picked up. We can also determine how closely corners are going to be approximated. We can increase or decrease those values. I won't do that right now, but what I do want to show you is what happens when we increase the noise settings. Keep an eye out in particular on the small objects that are currently traced, for instance in that green area right here. If I increase the noise setting, we should see a tracing result that picks up less of those small objects. So there you have it, an introduction to image tracing in Illustrator. You can actually generate some very cool visual effects with this.